Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dinner with Dad. So glad you're with us tonight. I have to say that today I'm kind of pooped. We've been working all day out in the yard, and then we loaded up stuff and went to our in-laws and worked in their yards. We're kind of pooped, but we're all ready for a very comforting dinner. So tonight we're making comfort food on Dinner with Dad. But first of all, I want to show you, look at these beautiful knives. I mentioned in one of our episodes that my knives were bad, and look what a viewer sent to me. Unnecessary, but isn't that super nice? So I'm going to use them tonight. Tonight we are making chopped steak covered in sauteed mushrooms and onions, and we're also going to have a side dish of green bean casserole. So first thing I want to do is
What is it comparable to, though?
What?
Our dinner. What do you say it's kind of like?
Well, you mean like what place? Ooh, I don't know which knife to use.
Well, I was thinking, is it comparable to the roadkill steak at Texas Roadhouse?
Callie, these are so sharp. Oh my gosh, that was like, I hardly had to do anything to cut that onion.
Well, don't swing it around.
I know. Yeah, one of our favorite things is at a restaurant called Texas Roadhouse that we have here locally. Oh, I forgot my scratch pad. So anyway, one of our favorite places is a place called Texas, it's called Roadhouse, Texas Roadhouse? Yes. And we love the chopped steak. Now I know chopped steak is not really steak. It's just like, fancy hamburgers really. But it's okay, we like it, and it's easy, and it's cheap. And you doctor it up and you make it taste really good. So chopped steak. Some people call it the poor man's steak. Whatever. I like real steak too. Chopped steak is a good family meal. Okay, so
Are you going to use the chopper?
I'm not, because I'm doing rings.
Oh.
If I was chopping, I would use my chopper, but since I'm just doing rings, oh my gosh, I cannot tell you. I didn't realize how bad my knives were until I had tried these. Thank you so much, friend who bought these for us. We've gotten these unbelievable gifts. First the apron, and now the knives. They just show up on our front door from Amazon. Crazy, but appreciated. So I'm going to saute some onions and mushrooms, and I'm going to do that first. So that's why I'm getting this. Oh, I stabbed myself. I'm going to have to be really careful, because I'm used to just not being so careful because my knives couldn't hurt a thing. And it even has a sharpening tool. Where is that?
It's at the top. That handle.
This?
Nope. That's...
Oh, this. Look at that. You sharpen your knives with it. This is probably not news to most of you all, but it's very exciting to me.
I can't believe you cut out the hairy parts again.
I know, but I'm not dicing it up. So just
Are the fumes?
Just don't judge me. The whole point of this is not to judge, because I don't really know what I'm doing. The fumes are not so bad yet.
The vapors.
The vapors. Oh, the aerosol. So this is exciting. What did you all do today? Did you mow two lawns and mulch and dig and plant flowers? Oh, luckily it was a beautiful day.
Tell us what you did in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. We would love to know how you spent your day today.
Right now, today that we're filming this is Saturday.
Yeah, it is a Saturday. We don't post these the day we do it. By the way, if you're enjoying these episodes, I post them periodically on Facebook, but if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get to see them even sooner. So I have some olive oil over here in a hot pan. And I'm gonna go ahead and put these onions right in, get them going first.
Ooh, that sizzle.
Ooh, sizzle. I'll break those onions up in a minute. So I'll let them start going. And I'm gonna come back over and I'm gonna slice up some mushrooms. I just have some whole white mushrooms. I sometimes use brown, but I'm going to use white for these. And you do have to wash these. So I wash them. And then I'm just gonna slice these mushrooms like this.
How's that knife?
I mean, it's like cutting butter. Cutting mushrooms is pretty easy anyway, but wow, it's really nice.
Smooth.
Smooth.
This opens up a whole new door of possibilities.
It does. I'll have to try another one here.
But you always gravitate towards the big knives.
I do like the big knives for some reason. I don't know why. Look at that. I can cut things much thinner now. Anyway, Callie may fast forward through some of this because there's nothing really exciting about cutting up mushrooms. But that's what the first thing that I'm doing. I'm just going to keep talking in case she doesn't fast forward. What else can we say about today? Oh, we were filthy. Oh, just about cut myself. We've been playing in the dirt all day, mulching. But it was good. It was good to get it done and to help out our in-laws, get it done there. It was my in-laws, my wife's parents. Cutting mushrooms! Now some of you mentioned that I should sing, and so I'm just going to break out in song sometimes, periodically.
You just never know, though. So you have
Just
to
never know.
watch.
I'm trying to think of a song about mushrooms. I can't come up with one, but I might just break out into an opera aria, because you know I'm an opera singer. Fra poco me ricoverò. That's from Lucia di Lammermoor, you opera fans. Okay, I got these cut up. I'm gonna get my pan on the burner, and I'm gonna add the mushrooms to the onions.
You lost a couple mushrooms.
I lost a couple, but I'm gonna grab them here. They didn't go on the floor, and I need a wooden spoon. Oh, I think this is the only one I have. And so I'm gonna cook these until they're translucent. That means you can kind of see through them. For those of you, whatever, who don't know what that means. So I'm just kind of like pounding these onions to separate them so that we get these nice rings here. And then I'm going to season all of this really well with lots of salt. Look at that. Lots of pepper. And garlic powder.
You love garlic.
I do love garlic. And so I'm going to let this saute with the lid off because otherwise it's just too much fluid. Because these onions, I think they sweat. And if you put the lid on, then then they're swimming. And I don't want them. I want them to saute and kind of brown up a little bit. So I'm going to do it without the lid on. It might take a little longer that way. But while these are sauteing, I'm going to get together our side dish, which is green bean casserole. So we're going to get all those ingredients together, and I'll show you how to put that together.
We're on.
We're on. I never know when we're on. You have to say something.
I give you a nod.
Okay, anyway. So the onions and mushrooms are sauteing, and they're really looking great. It's smelling great. So I'm going to make a side dish tonight. We absolutely love green bean casserole. I know a lot of people make it around Thanksgiving and stuff, but we make it all the time. And it's fairly low carb. I mean, you know, again, we're not tyrants about being low carb, but it's fairly low carb. So I'm going to take this, I think this is 9 by 9. I don't know. Maybe it's a 9 by 9 dish.
9.
I don't know. I don't have a ruler and I don't know.
It's a square.
It's a square. It is a square. And in this, I'm going to spray it just to be safe. And I'm going to put 3 cans of green beans. I prefer the French cut green beans.
Oh, you just spilled
I'm
them.
like, oh my goodness. Oh my. I should sing something French. What would that be?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm trying to think. My French arias. I can't think of one at the moment. I mean, I've sung a lot. But anyway, so you add 3 cans of green beans and then a can of cream of mushroom soup.
It's coming all together, the mushrooms and the
That's
mushrooms.
right, yes, it ties together. And again, you might say, well, this isn't low carb. I mean, all of these things have a little bit of carbs in it, but you know, you're not eating the whole dish. You're not eating, you're sharing this with your family. So,
I mean, maybe you are eating the whole dish,
well, if
and
you
that's
are,
okay.
if you are, then okay. No judgment here. I couldn't eat it all at one time, but over a few days I could because I love it. It's really good. You want to get every last drop of the cream of mushroom soup out.
Now, one time we tried it with cream of chicken, and how did that
and
go?
You know, it was okay, but because I was out of cream of mushroom and I didn't realize it. So I used a can of cream of chicken. And I mean, it was okay. It didn't taste quite the same.
We thought it wouldn't be that different, but it really
really
was.
different. It was really different.
So
Now-
pro tip.
Yeah, pro
the
tip,
mushroom.
do not sway, do not change, the word I'm looking for, from the cream of mushroom soup because it's not worth it. Now, this recipe calls for 3/4, the recipe is actually on the back of these, we're talking about in a minute, 3/4 a cup of milk, but I use, surprise, heavy whipping cream because it has no carbs in it. I say no carbs, yeah, absolutely 0 carbs. And it makes it so rich and creamy and so much better. So
would you recommend even if someone wasn't doing low carb?
absolutely, yes, it makes it so good, so good. So you're gonna mix, now I have to be careful because one time I got in trouble. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper into this. But one time I added way too much and my family got mad at me. But
He salted it twice,
I think I did salt it twice.
and it was not good.
But it can be, I think it's a little bland. You could always add the salt at the table, but I think adding a little is good. So anyway, you're gonna mix all of this up. And it looks like a big hot mess right now. And to just open a can of green beans for me, again, you know, that just does not appeal to me at all. But this is so good. Now, this is gonna go in the oven, 350 degrees for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it in. And then when it comes out, this is the best part. French fried onions. If you've had a green bean casserole before, you know what this is about. These are so awesome. Are they low carb? I mean, they have some carbs in them, you know, 2 grams per serving. You're only gonna eat a little bit, so it's not bad. It really only calls for 1 can, but I usually use 2 because throughout the meal prep, I usually like eat half a can because they're so good. And so I just go ahead and use 2 because they're so. I mean, look at that. I mean, look at that. Oh my god, it's so good. I can't say enough. It's a problem. I can just like shove it in my mouth. Okay, so, but those don't go on until after they come out of the oven. So I'm gonna put this in the preheated oven now. And I'm gonna set the timer. My timer, 30, start. Okay. And while we're here, let's just check in on our onions and mushrooms. They're looking really good.
Smelling amazing.
I'm gonna keep them cooking because I really like them to really kind of brown a little bit. See, they're starting to a little bit. That's really when they're good. So I'm gonna keep them cooking here. And while they are cooking, I'm gonna get rid of some trash and then I'm gonna put together our chopped steak. All right, now we're going to get our chopsteaks ready. And so I have about a pound and a half of hamburger in this bowl. And it looks a little brown because I had to defrost it in the microwave and I hate to do that, but I forgot to put it in the oven this morning. So I'm going to add some spices and some different things to it. First of all, let me go ahead. We're going to put 1 egg. Oh, I hope I don't get any shell in here. Oh, awesome.
You never know.
You just never know. You never know. And then I'm gonna put in a dash of Worcestershire sauce. How do you say that? Worcestershire. I say Worcestershire.
They say
Worcestershire.
They say it's the hardest word to pronounce in the English
Worcestershire
language.
sauce. Whatever. So I'm gonna put in a little bit, couple dashes. I don't know what that means, but you can see it right there. And then, what else am I gonna put? I'm gonna put in a teaspoon of seasoned salt.
Now, what makes seasoned salt seasoned?
It's a blend of salt, herbs, spices that bring every dish to life. Right on the package.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
I thought you had that memorized.
No. Okay, I put a teaspoon in, but it doesn't look like enough, so I'm gonna add a little more. Just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese, the grated, not the grated, well it is grated, the powdery kind, because it really kind of helps keep it all together. Especially if you have to defrost it in the microwave or something, your hamburger can get a little watery or whatever. I mean, I drain as much of that out as I can, but it can be a little gross. So the only way to do this is to use your hands. It's gross.
Ew, that's gross.
I know, but it's just the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it. And I have to say, it's still feeling a little moist, more moist than I would like. So I'm gonna add some more Parmesan cheese in just a second, but I'm gonna have to wash my hands first. Did you tape all that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's still a little too moist, and if it's too watery and yucky, ooh, big chunks, they won't stick together very well. So I'm gonna add more of this, and it adds some nice cheesy flavor to your steak.
You love cheese.
Yes, we do. So we're back in mixing here, mixing it all together. I've heard that you don't want to like over massage hamburger. I don't really know what that means, and I don't know what happens when you do, and I probably just did it right then, but I don't know the consequences of that. So
what are the limits? What are the boundaries?
I don't know, and I don't know I don't know what happens. So anyway, I have my hamburger all in there, and I've patted it really flat in the bowl. I don't know if you can see that or not. But the reason I did that is because I want to make 4 even steaks. So I learned this trick on TV. Everything I learned on TV. You kind of score it with your hands like this. It's like that's in half, kind of. It's not a perfect science here. And then in half. And then,
that was a terrible half.
I know this half is much bigger.
That was
let me
awful.
start again. Let me start again. See, this happens often. Let me start again. Okay, so if I usually use this as a guide here. Okay. What do you think? Is that better? I don't know, this side looks bigger now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're just going with it though. I'll make up for it.
Oh,
Anyway, oh, that's terrible. Okay. Well, the idea here is that you try to get 4 even patties out of this. You know, whatever. Okay, so I'm bringing this over, and I'm going to wash my hands again, just because I know.
The onions and mushrooms are done.
The onions and mushrooms are done. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get them out and put them on a plate. I can't use that. I can't use metal on that.
Look at that nice spatula.
Look at that.
Straight from the Goodwill. No.
I think it is actually.
It is. I was there.
It's one of our other rubber spatulas kind of bit the dust, and so Goodwill. There you go. So look, even though it looked like we were chopping lots of onions and mushrooms, they really kind of cook away. So the more the better, I say. So don't be afraid to chop up a lot. Oh, I gotta get this one last mushroom. Okay. So we're gonna put these over here to the side because those are gonna go back on top of our steaks later. So now we've got our nice hot skillet, and we're gonna put in our chopped steaks. And I'm gonna try to, they're not very even actually. I'm gonna try to fix that. But anyway, you have to do it with your hands. And you just roll them into a ball. And I learned the trick that, you know, when you're making hamburgers or chopped steak or whatever, they tend to bubble up in the middle. So if you actually make them like donuts, no kidding.
What?
Hi, Callie. You actually put a hole in the middle like this, and they will pretty much cook together while they cook, and it keeps them from bubbling, not bubbling up, but like raising up in the middle.
Oh, so it makes them flat and even?
It makes them more flat and even and helps them to cook a little bit more evenly. How about that?
What a great hack.
What a great hack. Again, I learned that somewhere on the Food Network or Cooking Channel or something. All right, so we have our beautiful donut-shaped hamburger chopped steaks here in the...
Can you hear the sizzle?
Yes, can you hear the sizzle? Are you asking me? I can certainly hear the sizzle. Oh no, you're asking them. Hopefully you can hear the sizzle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let these bad boys sear on each side for a few minutes. We're not gonna cook them all the way through here on the stove. We're gonna let them sear on each side. So, while we're waiting, it's a good time to have some French fried onions. Sometimes I eat these while I'm cooking and then I'm not even hungry for dinner. I have a problem. Oh my. We'll be back. All right, so our chopsticks have been searing on one side. I'm gonna go ahead and sear them on the other. I didn't do a very good job getting them the same size, did I? Now, if you're careful, you can do this without them sticking. Oh yeah, baby, look at that. See, be careful they don't fall apart. That looks good. And see, our hole there is just kind of closing up. Good, so we're gonna let them sear on the other side for a few minutes. And then, I'll go ahead and tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the onions and mushrooms on top. And then we're gonna put on top of that loads and loads of Monterey Jack cheese. And
when do we not put loads and loads of Monterey Jack cheese?
When do we not? And then we're gonna put it in the oven to finish cooking. It's gonna be amazing. We'll do that soon. The second side has been searing for a while. I'm gonna put them back over. I don't know if it matters, but I'm just going to.
Look at those nice chopped steaks.
I know, nice thick. These would make just fine hamburgers too. Although when I make hamburgers, I don't put eggs. I don't put an egg in it. And I usually just, maybe I'll make hamburgers someday. I usually just use salt and pepper and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. All right, so I think these are about ready. Now, I know my green beans are in the oven at 350, but they only have 9 more minutes, so I'm gonna take it up to 400 for the steaks. The green beans will be okay, I'm sure. So now, I'm gonna go back and put our lovely sauteed onions and mushrooms right on top. And then you don't have to be neat about it. Just put them on there. Because you can scrape it all out when you go to serve it. Right on top. Doesn't that look good? These onions are already so good. These onions and mushrooms, they're seasoned with garlic and salt and pepper. So good. And then here we go. The big bag of Monterey Jack again. Over chopped steak number 1. Chopped steak number 2. Chopped steak number 3. And chopped steak number 4. Look at all that cheese. It's ridiculous, actually. It's crazy, but who cares? Okay, I need to get my oven mitts. Oh, maybe I can just use these. I think it'll fit on the bottom rack. So I'm just gonna put these chopped steaks down here on the bottom rack, closer to the burner. And, you know, for medium well, it says to cook for about 15 minutes, but here we have to eat everything well done because I'm immune suppressed. I can't have any pink meat.
And plus, we don't like it. It's gross.
I know. Joy and Callie, they don't like. I would prefer to have a medium steak, but anyway, we have to cook well done. So I'm gonna plan to do these for 20 minutes. I'm gonna set a time on my phone. 20 minutes in the oven. They're gonna be awesome. Okay, so I just reread my recipe and I messed up really bad. I was supposed to cook the steaks in the oven without the onions and mushrooms on them for 20 minutes. And the cheese. And then I was supposed to bring them out, put all that on, and then put it back in for a few minutes. But instead I put all of that on and put it in the oven for 20 minutes. And there's no taking it off. So I don't know how this is gonna go. How many times have I made this, Callie?
You've made this so many times. We even made it for Mother's Day.
I did, because it's Joy's favorite. How did I make this fatal error?
We'll see how it turns out.
We'll see how it turns out. All right, the timer is going off for our beans, our green bean casserole. So we're gonna get it out. Woo, it's hot.
No way.
I know. I'm always stunned by the hot air that goes in my face. Okay, so it's bubbling, it looks great. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a stir. That looks good already. And then here comes the good part. So, like I said, it calls for 1 of these, but I used 2 because I've eaten practically a third of this anyway. So, while I was preparing dinner. So I'm gonna dump this one in, and I take this one and I just kind of mix it inside. Push it down in there. This is another reason not to salt too much either, because these are really salty. So I just mix these in with the green beans, the mushroom soup, and all of that. So that looks good. And then I take another one. I open it. I love these, they're flat. So good. Oh, here's another one. Oh, look at that. It's got a tail.
It looked like what do they call the frogs with the tails? You know, like when they're like, Tadpole.
Tadpole. Oh, tadpole.
I can remember the name.
Frogs with the tail.
I can remember.
So, I don't know this. So look at that. That looks beautiful. That's, it's hot. Why did I touch it? I'm so tired. So that's going to go back in the oven for 5 minutes. But I'm going to let it sit for a little bit and try to put it in the last 5 minutes of the steaks so I can bring everything out at the same time. How about that?
Wow, coordination.
Coordination, yeah. So I'll put that back in, and then you'll see me get everything back out. Remember, I made this fatal mistake with the steak, so I'm not sure how it's going. Let's just look at it. I think they look okay. I don't know. I wasn't supposed to put all those toppings on yet. I don't know. I'm tired today. All right, we'll see what happens. There's the timer. Cancel. I've only had the iPhone for 2 years. Okay, so, it actually looks pretty good. We're gonna get out our green bean casserole first. And look, just in time. It browns a little bit. You probably don't want it to get any more brown than that. And then look at our steaks. Oh, yes. Now, I like browned cheese.
Brown food cheese, good.
Brown food, and it's not burnt, it's flavored. But just to make sure it's done, I'm going to use my handy dandy meat thermometer. I'm going to stick it right in the butt of one of these. If it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. Oh yeah, look at that. So it needs to get to 155 in order to be done. Oh, I think we're going to be in good shape. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Anticipation's killing me. Yes! It's done. So there you go, and we're going to serve this up. I'm gonna put, I know this looks like one big mess of cheese, but it's really 4 chopped steaks with onions and mushrooms. And I think, even though I put them on too early, I think it's gonna be great. And we're gonna serve them up and put them on a plate. Are we on?
Yes!
Oh my gosh. So, we plated it up. We've got a beautiful chopped steak here with
Let's get a close-up.
sauteed onions, mushrooms. I think my fatal error is okay. I think it's gonna be all right. Topped with Monterey Jack cheese, it's beautiful, and then some awesome green bean casserole. Comfort food on a plate, fairly low carb. Have a great dinner with Dad.